It's your favorite super duper mother daughter duo coming to you with all the positive vibes and helping you become exactly who you want to be. We're giving out all the good stuff on this podcast, and it's your host Tekoa and Sarah. So grab your mug because it's time for tea. Hi everyone, we're back with another episode with Time for Tea. I'm Tekoa.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we are so excited to be talking about why do we need approval from others?
Yes.
So we're going to get into the nitty gritty of people pleasing, not being able to say no for your own good, wanting everybody to value you. And we're going to get into the definition of what it means to approve. So to approve means to agree or accept as satisfactory. So when we turn that around to answer our question, why do we need approval? It's saying that we need people to agree with us or say that we are satisfactory.
Correct.
So I'm going to get into what are some approval seeking behaviors. So you can kind of have a idea of if you are seeking approval from others or if somebody else is and what that kind of looks like. I have 12 of them. Okay. So number one is disagreement becomes a personal offense, meaning somebody disagrees with you. You take it personally. You might want to argue that, hey, I'm right. What I say is best, but really, it's just opinions and you should take everything with a grain of salt, but you take it really personal. Next is you quickly change your mind. So this is for instance, if you are talking to someone and they're like, "Yeah, I love the Giants. They're such a great team." And then you're like, "Yeah, I like the Giants too." But then, somebody else who you value more says, "Well, I really like the Seahawks." And then you're like, "Oh, well, I really like the Seahawks too." That is a definite sign of needing approval from others and you don't have a firm foundation. The next one is struggling to say no. That ties in with people pleasing. The next one is not sticking up for your beliefs. Gossiping for attention. Number 6 is pretending to agree with everything. Number 7 is not voicing your dissatisfaction. Number 8 is pretending to know something. So kind of if you get caught up and you're not sure of something, maybe in class or something like that, you just kind of go with it and pretend you know what it is instead of being honest. Number 9 is over apologizing. Number 10 is fishing for compliments. Number 11 is resistance to criticism. And number 12 is not behaving according to beliefs. And this all ties in with wanting validation, and I have that validation is value. So we're looking for people to value us. And if you're being authentic, our last episode was about authenticity. People might not necessarily value you because they don't agree with your true self. So it really puts you to a test of being true to yourself and believing in yourself and standing up for what you believe in and really just, being you and not caring what other people think. Do you have something to
Correct.
add to that?
Correct. Um, and I'm sorry.
No problem.
And when I was reviewing this, a lot of us start out with people pleasing, trying to get validation. And a lot of it, I think, stems from not being heard or not feeling. There's a sense of void in us that possibly we didn't get as a child, which
Definitely.
we grow up questioning ourselves and needing that feeling complete and whole. But as you're going through your journey of life, you start realizing, as you start searching, soul searching, that you have the answer. You're no longer that little child that needs another person's approval for stuff. The thoughts and the dreams and your direction is what is the right direction for you, and no one can sort of tell you what's right for you. No one can answer those questions that are inside of you. And it comes with also self-growth, learning how to build our self-confidence, our self-worth, and a lot of that is part of growing.
Definitely. It's a journey. And
It's
as
a
you go
journey.
through your journey, you learn, and you have to be confident that what you want is best for you.
Correct.
What you have planned for you is what's meant for you, and not look at what other people are doing or what other people say. And I will do a personal, I don't know if we're at the empowering part yet, but one of my dreams and my goals is to teach the Black community ways I feel or ways I think and things that I think could benefit them. And I stepped out on that this week, actually. Just last week I stepped out on that, and the feedback I got was absolutely like horrendous, right? It was just like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like the hoteps. um just people were like, it was just catastrophic, right? And there was a moment of, oh my gosh, this is something I really wanted to do. What do I do now? And then, like, after thinking and thinking and thinking, I kind of got this haughtiness, like, ha, 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 people are offended by what I'm saying, but so what? Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
It's my
Mm-hmm.
beliefs, it's my ideologies, it's my thoughts, it's my morals, it's how I feel, and I'm going to be okay with sharing that regardless of how people feel and how they attack me. And that's just going to be, this is just the tip of the iceberg. That's what I had to tell myself. People are going to disagree with you all the time. And if people are disagreeing with you, that means that you're stepping outside of the box and doing something that's not done a lot. You're doing things that they aren't familiar with, that they aren't comfortable with. And that's great. You're getting them out of their comfort zone. So, oh well, suck it up. I'm going to do what I want to do. And I don't need validation from anyone because no one determines my value in my information I output and what I put inside myself. No one can determine my value, only me.
Correct. Correct. And there's a saying, I think it's a quote. If you stand for nothing, you fall for anything. So you have to stand for what you believe in. If you don't have anything to stand on, you'll fall for anything.
Yeah.
So
And some of the most influential people, I'm sure, had to learn not to seek validation from others, not to be approving seeking people. Like, think of Obama when he was like, I'm going to run for president. You don't think people were like, you're crazy, don't do that, you're going to
even
get
his wife,
killed?
even his wife was against it. It was like,
What
I
we're
don't
going
think
to
that's
do? What? Run for the president of the who? Not the US of A. So,
Mhm.
and he still went along and did it. I'm sure MLK had opposition. I'm sure, everybody goes through that stage and where people are like, you're crazy. And you mentioned something earlier. I don't even know if we were talking about this podcast. We were talking about something different, but you mentioned something earlier and was like, sometimes we get validation or we get advice from people who are not not producing good fruit in life. They're
Correct.
not they're not the people you need to be taking advice from.
Correct.
So if you're in a circle of people and you're looking to for them to value you, and the circle of people that you hang around are less than who you are or who you're meant to be, then in essence you're looking for them to devalue you, because there's
Hmm.
no way they can tell you who you are and what you're going to do and who you're going to be, because they are not them things themselves. They can't envision it, they can't see it, so they will in essence devalue you. So be careful who you're taking advice from. Be careful who you're looking for approval from. Be careful who validates you. Because if they're
Hmm.
not what you're looking for or what you're trying to be, then essentially they're not validating you in the way that you need to be validated.
Correct.
They'll give you bad advice. They'll tell you, oh, you shouldn't do that. You're dreaming too big, because they're not on the same level of you or where you're trying to go. So
Correct.
you said that and that stuck out with me like, oh child. Indeed, that was a
And
good
it
one.
was it was more like, because the Bible talks about getting wisdom, and getting wise counseling, but you got to check the tree that you're getting that information from. If that tree is flourishing and is bountiful and you could see it growing, yes. But if that tree is withered and dried up, ain't there's no is not producing any fruit of any sort, then no, you can't get confirmation and guidance from a withered tree.
Yeah.
Before you tell me something, let me see what you have, what you're doing. Where are you going? If you're not going where I'm trying to go, then I don't need your validation, because you're not going to give me what I'm looking for, because you're not even at that same level. So that's important. And I wrote down that we're setting ourselves up for disappointment when we seek approval from others,
Yeah.
because everybody's view and vision is different for themselves and for you.
Yeah, yeah. And when we were talking about why do we need approval, it all wrapped into, how people say when you have an idea, when you have a goal, don't tell anybody. Let it go into fruition. And this just tied in with that.
And we were talking about that the other day. I'm like,
We were.
that's one of the things that old generation, old people have said. And I remember my mother saying, you don't tell everybody, you don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing, because when you do, people are going to put it down.
And
And they're
even if
doing it
they
for whatever reasons. But if you don't tell nobody what your dreams are, and you sort of keep it or give it to those that are having the same type of dreams and vision, that's one thing. But if they're going to try to destroy it, they're going to crush it, because they're not walking the same path. They're not walking in the same direction that you're walking. They're not having the same dream, hopes, and desires. So what they're going to do, out of fear, they're going to speak negative. Out of ignorance, they're going to speak negative.
And it just hit me. We were talking about that because this is before we even knew we were going to do this podcast
Mhm.
episode. We were talking about that because I had put up a post about some of my future plans, and this is not the other post I put up with talking about my ideologies. This was a totally different post. Like, I can't wait until I move to such and such land. And the feedback that I received was just mostly all negative. Oh, it's hot. You'll hate it there. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. Oh, you shouldn't do that. The feedback I received was all negative, and it was just like, huh. But again, I took a haughty approach because it's like, peasants. Your negativity,
You
it does
little
not
people.
affect me.
You little
Oh,
minded people. Ha 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 ha.
right. Oh my Lord. So, and you have to have that type of attitude. You have to have that type of confidence. You have to have that type of faith. You have to have that type of focus and clarity on what you want. Because if you don't, people will feed into that. People will
And
put
crush
stuff
it.
on your plate that you didn't ask for, and you're just eating it up. And you forgot that you really wanted steak, and you sitting here eating waffles, and you're like, why? But it's because I wanted to eat what other people told me I should. I
Hmm.
wanted to be the person other people told me I should. And I've been that person. I've been that person.
Hmm.
Oh, this person thinks that I should do this, and so I've done it. But my life, like I think I said before, my life is like built on rebellion. It's built on rebellion.
Always.
Built on rebellion. I homeschooled my daughter. When I was about to homeschool her, I got so much feedback, so much negative feedback on that. You shouldn't homeschool her. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't blah, blah, blah. You don't know what you're doing. You're not good enough. And once again, I am going to do what I please and what I think is best,
Hmm. Hmm.
regardless of what other people say, because here's the secret. I'm aware that most people don't know what they're doing with their lives. So most people will try and give you feedback and tell you what you should do. But once you sit in their house for about 10 to 15 minutes, you realize that they're living in chaos and they don't know what's best for them. How you going to tell me what's best for me and you don't know what's best for you and your kids?
Almost the lost leading the lost,
Girl, remember I
or the
talked about
blind
sheep?
leading the blind.
I talked about sheep. Everybody has this idea of what's normal and what should be, and they have no idea of what could be.
Hmm. Hmm.
So think
Hmm.
about that. They
The
think they're
possibilities.
telling you what should be, but they have no idea what could be. So stop
Hmm.
seeking approval from other people and focus on what you know to be true for yourself.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
So you are going to give us some more goodies. Do you have some goodies for us?
Yeah, I think, yes, I wanted to. Are we ready for the apply?
We can do the apply and then we'll go back into we'll talk some more about all the other stuff.
Okay, so these are some lists of things that you all because what we're trying to do is not just to teach, empower, and give you things to apply to your life to change your life. This journey, this podcast is for change, not for stagnation, not to be entertained. It's to make you be a better you and the best you can be. So some things to do to help shift your desire to want approval from others. You need to develop a great sense of self-worth. That's one. You need to build your strength and your confidence. Go with your feelings, your gut feelings. Go with what's right for you. Okay, not anyone else. What's right for you, because you are living your life and you're an individual with your own hopes, dreams, and inspiration. Okay. The second one, start becoming self-aware. Be attentive to what what behavior makes you feel good. So be aware of what behavior that makes you feel good about yourself. So awareness, because that's how you get to know who you really are, is pulling all this extra baggage off and going deep into who you really are. Important, very important, is to get a journal and write down things you like about yourself and some choices you've made in your life that you are happy about, that made you happy. Because when you start doing that, you'll start building that confidence to say, hey, I decided to do this, I did that, and it came out okay. Or if it didn't, I learned from it. Every lesson is not a failure, it's a lesson to learn, to build, to grow. Okay. And write down what makes you happy. Write down how did that decision make you feel, and what makes you happy. Write down what makes you happy. Evaluate the choices you make in your life and doing things. Okay, wait a minute. Evaluate the choices you make in your life. So make an evaluation of all the choices you make, good, bad, or indifference. Practice self-love and be kind to yourself. Write down, why do you think you need approval from others? So write a list of why do you feel you need approval for others. After, when you start writing stuff down, you start reflecting it, then you start looking at it a different way. Why do I need that approval? Why am I so dependent on other people's? And then you'll start re-examining yourself. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. The truth is all in us. Our true decisions and choices is already in us. Trust what you feel is right for you. Stop comparing yourself to others. You are original. There is only one of you. You are nobody else. You are made unique. You are the best thing that has been created, and you need to stop comparing yourself to others. There is no other like you. Be still and listen to your inner voice. That's important. That's the last one. Learning to trust, and that's also piggybacking on learning to trust yourself. Listen to that inner voice on what it's telling you, what it's asking you, how it's directing you. Those are important things. And this is the beginning of building your self-worth.
Yeah. For sure. I would say if you're unsure, we had a podcast episode on people pleasing. Watch that one. And we also had one on how to say no and the power of saying no. And these are things that tie into wanting people's approval. So this is such a eye-opening topic because I know in my youth, I'll call it my youth. Could have been yesterday, but you guys don't know that. I'll call it my youth. In my youth,
all of that.
I would seek approval from others, or I would, and it wasn't even really seeking approval, but I would want to do things, but then I would hold off on doing them because I thought, well, what will people think? You know, how will
Mm-hmm.
this come off to people? Will people like this? Will people, and even now, you know, even currently, like posting on Instagram, kind of like, you know, is this something I should post? Is this da 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 da? But I genuinely just post whatever I want now, what feels good to me. And I feel like I'm in control of what I'm doing and what's true to myself. And I just had to like positively affirm, you know, and I want to say that too for the applying section, positively affirm that this is right. This is what I should be doing in this moment. This will work out for my good. This is beneficial. This is true to me. Speak those things to yourself. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
one of my affirmations is I am a genius. I am a
Mm-hmm.
genius. I am a genius. I am a genius because then I know when I'm putting stuff out, hey, this is genius material here. If it flops, it flops, but it doesn't make me any less of a person. You know, it doesn't make me not intelligent or anything of that nature.
Lack thereof. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you have to positively speak to yourself to do that boosting of the confidence that you mentioned.
That self-worth. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That
boosting your
confidence.
self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
I don't Did we do one on self-worth? That is definitely something we should touch on.
Okay, that'll be good to piggyback on that one
Yeah, it's
because
definitely something we should touch on is self-worth because the more you feel like you are valued, the less you need approval from others.
the
And
outside. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and even yeah. So let's say that build up your inside to the point where you can't be penetrated by the outside.
That's
Build
good.
up such a mental fort that people
Mm-hmm.
have to climb 10,000 feet to
Mount
get into your
Everest.
brain. Yes,
Correct.
yes. So when you envision your mental fortitude and how you feel about yourself, how you value yourself, vision envision Mount Everest,
Mm-hmm.
envision the Grand Canyon, and all the other people in the world are at the bottom of the Grand Canyon, and you're at the top, and you're looking down, and they can yell up all day, but you can barely hear them. They're so far down there, right? Their opinions don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Their opinions don't make or
Correct.
break you. So when we think of needing approval from others, think of it that way. If you want to do something, do it. If you want to be somebody, be that person. You know, I don't care if it's all my life I wanted to play
Mm-hmm.
the ukulele. Go play it. You
Yeah.
know, just do it. And another thing is sometimes we seek approval because we're trying to do things for success. We're trying to do things for fame. We're trying to do things for money. Just do things because you want to do them. Because
Yeah.
it feels good to you. We need to get back into a space where we're okay with just creating because we want to create. We're okay with just doing things because it's a hobby. You know, it's not, if I make money, great. If I become famous, awesome. But that's not my end goal. My end goal is to please myself.
Be happy within yourself.
Yes, to genuinely be
Be
content with
happy.
myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep.
it. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters.
Yep. And it's important because you know what, at this point I'm looking at it, you know, I have 20 years on you, but I'm looking at life is short.
Yeah.
And I guess I looked at when, you know, as a young person, people pleasing. And as I grew older and start reflecting on people, I'm like, wait a minute, these people ain't paying my bills. They ain't taking care of none of my finance. They ain't taking care of my responsibility. Why am I so um, obsessed with what they think? And when I started looking at it, my perception changed and my attitude on how you thought about me changed. Because I was like, you don't wake up with me at night and you don't go to sleep with me at night. So who cares what you think? Um, and you have to get grimy like that because it's almost a fight for your self-worth and who you are and your self-validation because nobody knows you but you. No one's going to give you the best answers for your future but you. And yes, you should seek wisdom, but before you seek wisdom, check the tree out
Yeah.
and make sure that that fruit, that tree is nourished and is blooming. Okay. The only approval we need, and I wrote that down, is from ourselves. We need to self-approve us. You know, what do you think? Like, ask yourself, what do I think about this?
Yes.
How do I feel about this decision? Check
Exactly.
with you and your inner self because that's who has the answer.
Yep.
for
Yeah.
your future, for your destiny, for your direction of your life. Period. No one's going to love you more than you. No one's going to um, be able to fulfill your dreams, your desires, but you. You have to trust that you got all that is in you, and all the answer is really lying in you. You just need to sit still and learn to build that self-confidence and that self-love.
Awesome. Yeah. And I was going to say, if you're unsure if you have approval seeking behaviors, or if you value others' opinions more than yourself, then at the end of your day, just sit down and think, meditate on, did I make any choices that I didn't agree with because of someone else? Did I do something that wasn't the best for me because of others? Did I sleep on my potential because of the thoughts of others or the opinions of others? And this goes
Mm-hmm.
into, we talked about core values. Who are you? Do you know who you are? And when
Mm-hmm.
you know who you are, and you are 100% okay with that person, then it's harder for outer people to influence you. It's harder for outer sources to influence you, because you're so firm in your foundation
Correct.
that others can't shake you. But when you aren't sure of who you are, when you're trying to be like everyone else, you're easily
Mm-hmm.
influenced. Okay. And like you said, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Anything. Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to wind up in a crazy place. And 10 years from now, 5 years from now, you wake up and you're like, this isn't me.
Yeah, you
I'm
don't
what
want to do that.
everyone said I should be, but I am not who I was. I'm not who I was supposed to be. And that happens.
And it happened to me. So yes. So yeah, you have to live. Yes, true. You don't want that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm in the middle of a what do we call it, an awakening,
Mm-hmm.
of what happened. What happened to you? What happened to all the things you used to love to do? What
Mm-hmm.
happened? What happened to the person you wanted to be? Where did she go? She's wrapped up and tangled up in what everybody else wanted
Mm-hmm.
and what everybody else said was good for me. So don't be me.
Yeah.
The old me, the new me is in a place
Yeah.
where
Let your true self blossom.
yes, I'm waking up. I'm coming to terms with who I want to be and who I want it to be. And I'm aligning myself with that person. I'm aligning myself with what my destiny was meant to be. And that's because I'm shedding off everything else. So you definitely have to look at, what am I doing that isn't authentic? Like, I'll use the word we used recently. What am I doing that's not authentic? Come to terms with that, realize what it is, and do better for yourself. Start putting yourself first. And we talk about why do
Mm-hmm.
we do it? So I think we touched
Yep.
on it, but I do want to say, just for our parents, because I always like to give tips to parents because I'm a parent. One of the reasons why people need approval is because of maybe poor parenting techniques, maybe kind of teaching your
Mm-hmm.
kid that if they don't do something the way you like it, they aren't good enough. And that might go into,
Yeah.
hey, I keep telling you to tie your shoes. Why don't you tie it the way I've asked you to? Or just nitpicking with them and kind of showing them, like, when you do things the way I want you to do it, you get a treat, rather than, even if you mess up, I love you anyway. We'll just practice and we'll work on it and we'll be
Yeah. Yeah.
better. So yeah. So that's just something, and I'm guilty of that. I know, like, I'm like, hey, if you don't go to sleep on time, you'll be sleepy in the morning. If you don't do this, then that, rather than, hey, approaching it a different way. So look into that
Correct.
and try to find ways, the proper parenting techniques, where you're not making your kid feel as though they need approval from you. Making sure that you let them know, they're enough. And I am enough is such a positive affirmation. I'll say that as well. I am enough. I am
I am
enough.
enough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
am validated, because we said validation is looking for value. So I am valuable. Tell yourself that. I don't need anybody else to add to me. I'm already a full course meal. I'm not missing
Correct.
anything. You know, so
Correct.
those are things that we need to say to ourselves, and also we need to
And
make
our
sure
children.
and also we need to make sure we're saying those things to our kids, because then they know that they really don't need the outer world influencing them. They
Yeah.
are the influence. That's something too. I
Correct.
am the influence. So just wanted to touch on that. I like to throw in little
And
parent
that's good
tips.
to know because we are parents and all of us have been taught differently. So now that we're getting knowledge, we're learning now how to be a better parent, how to be a better person. So the more knowledge we have, the more change is coming. So that's why we're also letting you all know, hey, this is what we're finding out. This is what we did wrong, and this is what you all could do better to bring a better generation, the next generation, to be more confident,
Yeah.
more self-aware, more self-loved, is by starting with our children, the way we speak to them, and what we put in them is what is going to come out of them.
Like we
Put
said,
crap
just
in, you get crap out. You put good in, you get good out.
yeah.
So,
Yep.
definitely look at how we are raising our kids, and we're able to change those things, those negative ways, to make
Yeah.
a positive impact on them starting today.
Yeah. This
Never
podcast
too late
is
to start.
it's all about growth. So it's all
Yeah,
about
never too
growth.
late
We're
to start.
learning together. We're becoming better people together. We're
Hmm.
improving, because I love improvement. You know, I don't like stagnation. So let's continue to grow. Let's continue to learn. Let's continue to be open to knowledge,
Correct.
you know, being open to criticism, being open to there are better options. Maybe I could do something differently. And like I said, this podcast is all about needing validation and approval. So we're going to leave off with you are enough. You are enough. Trust yourself.
You are.
Trust, trust your instincts. Okay. And we're wrapping up our 30 minutes. As
Thank
always,
you
we love
all.
you guys. Yes. Leave any comments. Hey, I want to know, what kind of trouble have you gotten in from seeking approval from others? Like, what kind of trouble has occurred from wanting to listen to others and letting them influence your life? Okay. So love you guys. See you later. I hope you enjoyed the tea. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
That's a wrap of today's episode. And once again, this is the podcast, Time for Tea, where we are teaching, empowering, and applying and giving out weekly doses of some good stuff for your spirit. Hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Same time, same place. Bye.